Are you wondering how the new Ninja Creami ice cream maker compares against a Pacojet?
Well, today on WTF, we give you the scoop on the Ninja Creami and how it stacks up against the Pacojet. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. Here on WTF, every week we cover unique ingredients, techniques, and show you recipes for your kitchen. So remember to subscribe and stick around for our giveaway. This week we are doing a review of the new Ninja Creami ice cream maker versus the trusty Pacojet. Now, we've been selling the Pacojet for a few years now. The Ninja's fairly new, and people have been writing in and asking, like, hey, what do you think about the Creami versus the Pacojet? And so we thought we'd do a whole episode where we're kind of testing different types of frozen treats and then letting you know how they compare side by side. I think, first of all, Scott, maybe we can start with some of the technology behind what makes the Ninja Creami ice cream maker and the Pacojet, what makes them different from a traditional ice cream churner?
Sure, so they each kind of say their own technology. There's the Pacotizing and the creamifying, I believe is exactly what they say over here. And what it is, it's almost a reverse churn. So usually in an ice cream maker, it would go in as a liquid and it would cool it, and it would scrape the sides, and those little ice crystals would then turn into the ice cream. With this, you freeze the container completely, and then it goes through and it cuts it, and it blends it, and it whips it into a perfect type of ice cream. So yeah, like I said, reverse churn, where this does the churning as it's frozen, and then the normal one goes in liquid, comes out frozen. Yeah. So yeah, very different than an ice cream maker, but both the Pacojet and the Creami are great for kind of on-demand ice cream.
And kind of one of the big things, about the two machines is that, the Ninja Creami, designed for a home user, about $200 retail. We don't even carry it, so we're just doing the review. And the Pacojet, the new Pacojet 2 is about $6,000. So obviously we're talking a massive amount of difference between functionalities and what you can get. So I guess the big question is, you've used this extensively.
Yes.
When you tried the Creami, how did you find, how does it work? Is it similar? Is it easy? What did you notice?
I think it's easy. I think it works in a similar fashion. Do things need to be churned once or twice more? Yeah, they do. We can see right here with our sorbet, we churned it twice and it's still, kind of powdery, kind of like crumbly, whereas once in the Pacojet's going to get you like perfect. Do sometimes things in Pacojets come out crumbly? If you freeze them too cold, like say in a blast chiller, of course that kind of stuff's going to happen. But if you do it under the right circumstances, you're going to get it, right the first time.
Yeah.
But is this hard to respin? No. They built in a respin button. It even tells you in the manual if you get there, do it once more. This is actually spun twice, so I think it could use one more time. One thing we did note is that one spin in the Creami is. And we did the same amount too, so these are all pints in here, because the Creami can only do a pint. But we found that one spin in here is about half the time as a spin in the Pacojet. So it may be a little bit faster. That's where that respin comes in. So there's a lot of different things, but I think for what it does, it works well for a home user.
Yeah, and for someone who's never seen one, can you maybe walk us through the steps of, like after you made your base, what do you do and how do you use it?
Sure. So we follow very basic recipes. You would take them and you put them into the freezer. Basically, you don't fill it past the max fill line. Put it into the freezer, allow it to freeze for 24 hours before placing it into this little, we could probably do a little demo here if you want to just see it. So this is a pistachio gelato. It's completely plant-based. It's a recipe that we love here. We make it every chance we get, pretty much. So that's going to sit directly in here. There are these fun little, these have a little bit of melted ice in them, fun little tops. They fit perfectly on there. And one thing I found, this would be something, is they fit perfectly, like almost engineered perfectly to fit in top. So let's say you do have both and you're using the Creami for testing. You can stack them and then you'll know exactly what it is. But I do like that you can see through the outside of these and you can tell what it is. So it sits right in there. And then we want to take the This is on that machine called the pacotizing blade. I want to say creamifying blade.
We'll call it the blade, so no
blade.
one's like, stop using the wrong term.
Yes.
The blade.
So basically all you're going to do is you're going to take the blade, and there's a little hinge here. You open up the hinge, place the blade directly inside there, and then it's going to slide on the top, and it'll click into place. I like that everything kind of clicks into place on this. One thing that is cool is that when I put it in here, it's almost, it slides up, it locks in. There's a little button that when it's done, you hit it, and I really wish it just like kind of came down robotically, but it doesn't. So very simple. This is a gelato. I'm going to hit the gelato button. Well, I probably should have turned it on first. So pop it up and hit the gelato button, and it's going to start blending.
All right.
So that blade's going to pass all the way through. It's going to, shave it, whip it, do all the things it needs to do to turn it into a gelato.
Okay. And well, obviously we're going to cut some of this time out, but how much time does it take to do that one turn?
So it's about 2.5 minutes. I haven't timed it exactly, but it's much shorter than that, and that takes about 5 minutes sometimes.
Okay.
So it depends on what's going into it. But yeah, it's relatively short in here compared to the Pacojet 1 that we have. All right, so now that it's done spinning, I'm just gonna hit this button, and I wish it just came right down like perfect, but it doesn't. Maybe that's just me, but. So we churn this once, and let's see what it looks like. Ooh. So yeah, we can definitely see the difference.
Okay.
The Pacojet is not, we did not scrape it down, that's just how it comes out. This is probably good. I can definitely see a little bit of ice crystallization around the side, so it's not completely blended up.
Yeah.
But this one is perfectly creamy. So.
Yeah, and we can start taste testing a couple of these. So what do we have in these different beakers?
So we have chocolate ice cream. Basically, we took one of their recipes, we altered it slightly. So we added real chocolate instead of like hot fudge or something that they had added to it. But this is a great recipe. I like it. I've made it at home already. So if we want to taste, let's go with the Pacojet first.
Okay.
You can see it's super smooth, super creamy.
Yeah. This is smooth.
It's
So
wonderful.
good. It's amazing.
Yeah. And then over to the, it's good. You can absolutely tell that there's like very minor ice crystals, but great job for this one. I think that's the closest one that we can get like side-by-side comparison.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of perfectly smooth, do you want to talk about what we added to the ice cream to kind of enhance a little bit and kind of help it along?
Sure. So we want to give these the best chance that they have to be like great ice creams, because sometimes you can get ice crystals just because you're putting something in there that doesn't have anything. So we used our stabilizers, which are perfect ice cream, perfect sorbet, and perfect gelato. And for each one, this was ice cream, sorbet, and gelato. And that's just going to help cover up those ice crystals slightly with the gums and stabilizers that we have in there. They're all perfectly uniform for the ones that you're trying to use, and they work amazing. Yeah,
I think for some of these, especially some of these are a little chunkier, if you didn't have any in there, it would be even chunkier.
Yeah, exactly, especially with this one, sorbet. So
what kind of sorbet is this?
Let's try the Pacojet, and this is a mango sorbet. So, like, unbelievably smooth. This is one churn.
Yeah.
This is just mangoes, sugar, and the perfect sorbet.
Oh, it's so good.
It's amazing. I can't complain, right?
Right.
So
this is the creamy mango sorbet. And you can kind of see it's definitely
see the
not
edges.
as smooth.
Still good. The recipe is good. It does what it intends, but there's absolutely like very small ice crystals in there. But I mean, it's doing a pretty good job. But this was also churned twice, so if you want to do 2-3 churns on something, you could potentially get it to be a little more creamy.
Yeah, definitely. This is ironically creamier than the creamy.
Yeah, but this does have the respin button, and at half the time, you can just keep going with it. So I think. It's going to take a little bit more to try and get it closer to this, but this is like exceptional. Yeah,
and I think some of it is if you're like, I have not had the Pacojet ice cream, you would be like, this is pretty good. But once you had the Pacojet,
if you've never had ice cream out of a Pacojet, this is amazing. But then once you have the Pacojet, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right? But you get what you pay for. It's an unbelievable machine that right there. Like everyone's, wants to have a Pacojet.
Yeah, this is the gold standard of
amazing.
technology. All right, and what do we have here? The last, did you already say this? I forgot.
Oh, this is the pistachio gelato.
Okay.
This is the best gelato on earth. Completely plant-based, but it's
so much nicer looking than this.
Yeah, exactly. It's gorgeous. So this is usually just the creamiest, smoothest, most unctuous thing ever.
Yeah, the gelato is my favorite out of the Pacojet by far. I'll try this creamy.
Yeah, this is definitely a little more dense. And just in the scooping, I can see like the texture on the outside is a little more granular.
Yeah, so again, I would say this is good. If I didn't have this, I would be like, this is good. But this is just so much better.
Yeah, I think if you had never had Pacojet and you tasted this, you'd be like, that's the best gelato I've ever had. And then you have the Pacojet one, and you're like, oh my God. It really blows your mind. And I mean, it's great. And what I always thought was like, okay, if you are working at home and you're developing ideas or whatnot, to go into your kitchen, your professional kitchen, and use the Pacojet, this is a totally fine machine, I think, right? It's like, have this at home, test out some things, refine them with that, like make them amazing.
Yeah.
Because the Pacojet, especially like a 2 Plus, gives you the functionality of adding any air to your like ice cream. If you want to aerate it a little bit, if you want to make it extremely dense, you can do that. You can like dial in exactly what you want the texture to be. Whereas this, you can make the ice cream and that's about it. But for $200, great little, testing machine.
Yeah, and the Pacojet, you can do a lot more than, make ice cream. Yeah. So we can make soups in here, all kinds of things. Can you do that with the Creami?
Unfortunately, there's one blade. You get this blade. Whereas the Pacojet, you can get a number of blades that do a number of different things, from whipping to slicing, all sorts of stuff that work inside this beaker, and you can make like literally hundreds. They have a book that's this thick of cool things that you can make in there. This is ice cream, sorbet, gelato, smoothies, like acai bowls, things like that.
Okay.
So they have recipes for that. This comes with I think 30 recipes right off the bat. So like if you want to try it out, like go ahead. I mean, I will say it right now. I bought one of these for home because I want to, go back and forth and try and make something awesome in there. Start here at home and stuff like that. So really, it's I'm happy to be able to do it.
Yep. So it's definitely a cool little machine. If you're a home user, you're like, I'm making ice cream sometimes.
Yeah.
Does a perfect job. If you are a chef and you want to do a lot more, run things for service, do like a ton of different stuff, then it's not really truly apples to apples, but for ice creams and sorbets and gelatos, it does a good job. I
think the key word there you said was sometimes, right? Because I don't foresee putting this through the ringer like that thing can go through. Especially, we ran these, I think a total of 5 times between all of them, and like you could definitely smell like, I don't think it's burning out, but you could definitely tell it, it's working hard. So I don't feel any heat coming off the machine, but you can definitely tell it's working hard. So
yeah. So hopefully what we've given you today is a little bit of information on what you need to do if you are deciding if the Creami is the right machine for you, for home use, for ice cream, sorbets, and gelatos. And you can get all of our recipes in the links in the description below, as well as, the perfect ice cream, sorbet, and gelato that we always add into everything because it makes all your frozen treats just that much better. So regardless of how you're churning it, you're going to get, storing it is going to be a lot better, and tasting and lasting. It's just going to be better with some of our perfect frozen treats combo right in there. And I totally forgot about the giveaway, which I will do right now. This week's giveaway will be a set of the ingredients. Now, we're not giving away a Creami. We don't sell them. But it will be a set of these 3 particular ingredients that you can use in your frozen treats. And in order to enter to win, let us know what other types of frozen treat testing or recipes you would like to see from us. It's that easy. So until next week, from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Guerin.